Welcome, brothers. Beautiful to see some triple whammy on one screen. We like that. Dominic and friends. Yes. Three for the price of one. Welcome, welcome. People will be drifting in. Would love for you to type in how you're feeling, where you are listening from in the world. Welcome to this webinar. We are going to try and keep it as interactive as possible. There's so much we could talk about on this subject. Yeah, so if at any point you've got questions, you're welcome to put up your Zoom hand or type them straight in the chat. And when we have chance to pause, we will look at them and answer them. And there will be points over the call that you have a chance to ask questions as well. Let's see some of these answers in the chat. Here we go. Essex, Rainy Stoke, London, Belper. It's an excitement to be here. Calm, slightly sad from Italy. Montreal, Berlin, Dominique, Robin, Lucas. Yes. Stoke Newington, Mar, just around the corner from me. Okay, welcome, welcome, welcome. So my name is Robbie, and I have the good fortune of stewarding the ship that is Emergence Brotherhood. And Emergence was birthed out of a longing to bring brothers together, to take us through rites of passages, which sadly many of us didn't receive when we were growing up. And I needed this more than most. I got brought up in a household where things weren't talked around. Emotional intelligence wasn't modeled. And it led me to feeling disconnected from myself, from others. And I was kind of a bit of a Jack the Lad, as we'd say in England growing up, and would create connections through drinking, partying, and it was kind of false and shallow. And we're going to go into a few things around breaking free from those patterns that are holding us back. And that was definitely a big one for me. So this fear of vulnerability, this fear of really exposing myself that was keeping people at arm's length, which repeated this pattern of not feeling connected, loneliness. I was too egoic to admit it or even aware of it, to be honest with you. But in hindsight, I can see it was really creating a lot of aloneness, a lot of loneliness. Yeah, so at Emergence, we go through many, many different rituals. There's many brothers that have been through the initiation here. And we are really, the longing is to bring us back to ourselves, to our true nature, to our essence. I believe that's the soul work of being a man today, is to pull back the layers, the conditioning of our parents and our parents' parents, and really becoming who we are. It's the greatest gift we can give ourselves, our friends, our family, our communities, humanity.
Hi everyone, I'm Graham. I'm the some would say the better half of Emergence Brotherhood, perhaps, but that's also partly my shadow as well, is the nice guy. And that's something I've had to work very intensely over the last, 11, 12 years of doing this or similar kinds of work as well. And I met Robbie in 2019 at a 6 week training specifically designed to demolish the parts of ourselves that we have created, that I had created to keep myself safe and somehow distant from life and aliveness. And Emergence is part of my service to the world, actually. Service to myself, service to Robbie, to brothers, to Emergence, so that all of us can emerge as our most powerful, vibrant, and alive selves. So, yeah, that's why I'm here.
We are going to take you on a journey today. And we're going to start with exploring what is shadow. Graham's going to share pieces around that and ways to recognize your own shadow. And then I'm going to go into shadow hunting tools. This is a piece that got dropped to me from ISTA, International School Temple of Arts, and we elaborate and make it our own. And we're going to go into an experience together then in breakout rooms with one other person to give support and to really own our own shadow and how we can work differently with it. And over this experience, Graham and I will be sharing, encouraging you to keep thinking of your own examples. How's this relevant for you? Where's it true in your life? Where is your shadow keeping you small? Where is it draining your energy? And we're going to have a few chances over this experience to harvest. And maybe if you do have a pen and paper, it could be great for one of the shorter experiences. We're going to ask some questions and you can write it down. But obviously, if you've got a laptop or computer, you can write it on the computer. And as I said, if there's any questions, put your hand up energetically, or should I say, Zoom powers, or write it straight in the chat. And when we get a moment to pause, we'll come back to you.
Thank you, Robbie. So, what is shadow work? Does everyone feel here? Put your hand up if you feel like you know what shadow work is, you have a good understanding. Maybe you want to raise it to a certain kind of level of like how much you feel like you grasp it. Okay, got some hands going off the screen, some a little bit lower. Okay, good to know. So, shadow work is the process of bringing awareness to the parts of oneself or yourself that you've hidden, that you've rejected, or that you've disowned. So these parts, your shadow, if you will, were created when you learned that it wasn't safe to be. That this can be emotions, for example, expressions of something. And we'll go into that in a little bit. But anger is always one that really springs to mind. And I know it was one that was very alive for me, this sense of um, uh, my anger getting me into trouble when I was a child. It was my parents, particularly my mother, found it repulsive and it was very activating for her. So I quickly learned that if I wanted to get close to my mother, then I somehow have to suppress my anger because when I am angry, it creates distance. Uh, and at different stages of a child's evolution, this could be a fundamental problem. Could even be an existential dilemma. So if one gets too angry, one doesn't receive love. But if one doesn't receive love, one's alone and lonely, therefore. So that loneliness can be unbearable for a child who has no concept of time. It might feel like it would never end. And I know that from my own experiences, that sense of my anger getting me into trouble. So I had to bury it. Expressing needs is also something that can get people into difficult situations as children. So it can be very vulnerable to express a need as an adult if needs were never really fully grasped or understood as a child because it simply wasn't safe to have needs, or needs were just constantly met with rejection or worse, a kind of an ignorance, perhaps. And also, there's the sense of your own power. Maybe you were a powerful little human being and your power threatened others, so you've dimmed it down, perhaps. Yeah. So these are some of the ways to look at it. And the shadow contains not just what you judge as bad, but also can contain what you judge as good as well. So bad might be, for example, your rage, greed, neediness, uh, and what you've disowned perhaps as too much can be the other side of that. So your power, your wildness, your brilliancy. Um, and Carl Jung kind of referred to these, one as dark shadow, or let's just call it a conventional shadow, and one as golden shadow as well. So the golden as in the qualities and properties that we perhaps even long for, that other people have or we admire in others. And the problem with developing this structure, this adaptation, where one can't feel these things, is that it takes a huge amount of energy. It takes a huge amount of energy to suppress things. It's like trying to stuff something down into a space that can barely contain it, and it threatens to kind of explode all the time. It takes enormous amounts of energy to conceal things. And those rejected parts, they don't really disappear. So they run your life from the unconscious. They show up as repeating patterns. Who can relate to something kind of showing up as a repeating pattern in their life that just seems to take them back to exactly the same place? Yeah. Yeah. They show up as repeating patterns, triggers, projections onto others. And we're going to explore this in a minute. And this is the thing with shadow work, is that if one can really get to the core, the essence of what the shadow is deep down, you perhaps will find a longing to some kind of deep fundamental necessity that's been covered up and covered over. And the beauty of that, of the promise of finding that, is that it unleashes and unlocks huge amounts of life force, energy, vitality, and also qualities and properties that I would say are less like emotions or characteristics and more like naturally occurring. Even perhaps you might consider them abilities, but I would say kindness, compassion, joy, ecstasy. These are all kinds of properties or qualities that are concealed by the suppression and the pushing down of the shadow. So aliveness is the ultimate destination of shadow work, bringing more aliveness, bringing more joy and connection into your being and who you are. Is there anything you want to add at all, Robbie? Okay, so we've wanted to support you to come into greater aliveness. And one of the ways that we've done this is we've got a little bit of a presentation, and we're going to come in and out of this presentation. And the idea is that we'll just leave it up occasionally, and it will give you a chance to maybe like take in a little bit more information. And we're also going to stop at regular intervals as well for a little bit of Q&A. If people want to input something, if you're having a kind of moment of satori or inspiration or revelation, please share it, and allow yourself to consider the possibility that it might also support somebody else here as well. What you're going through, what you're realizing or noticing might also support them as well. Okay. So before we get going, so there's a promise to keep about confidentiality, because it might be that we're in a situation where we share quite personal things about ourselves, perhaps with one person, perhaps with many. So really just a promise to keep confidentiality about the person's present and their experiences. And of course, you can talk about your own experiences at any time without mentioning names or the experiences of other people. You own those experiences, so please feel free to share with them. Okay. So until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And this is a really big theme for Emergence Brotherhood as well, the difference between fate and destiny. You might consider destiny, perhaps, if that seems a bit grandiose, maybe as a possibility. And if you do something differently, then possibility becomes available to you. We're going to look at 5 ways to recognize your shadow. So the first one is projection tracking. So seeing in others what you can't see or accept in yourself. So it might be, for example, people who are greedy and there's a strong reaction or consistently talking, for example, about people who are greedy. I know that I used to have a thing about people who were shameless on social media. I used to say to my wife, like, "Oh, they're so shameless," and I was just saying it over and over and over again. So one day she just said to me, "Graham, have you ever considered that maybe you would like to be shameless on social media?" So this is perhaps like a way of looking at it that what I'm talking about, what I'm putting onto other people constantly is, or semi-constantly, is actually a great way to see a part or a piece that I haven't yet fully owned or accepted about myself. Disproportionate reaction. So when your emotional response is bigger than the situation merits or warrants. So if someone does something and you have this kind of big explosion of anger or this little snipey kind of dart of rage that kind of gets thrown out, is your emotional response proportionate to the situation or what's unfolding here? And if it's not, then that's a great sign that there's something there that you need to look at. So the patterns that you repeat, whether it's relationships, work, or life, do you consistently seem to end up playing the same role in a relationship? And perhaps you do that for most of the relationship as well. Is it the same kind of woman sort of time after time after time? Um, do you keep having problems with your boss at work in some way, shape, or form? So, are there certain kinds of patterns that you're consistently repeating? And this is perhaps like a little bit deeper because it does require a certain amount of recall, but there might be specific moments in time where you learned that parts of you weren't safe to be there, safe to express. So it's good to track that as well. And it doesn't have to necessarily be with your parents. It could be caregivers of different kinds, older siblings, teachers, older kids at school. So these can also be jumping off points where you decided that it wasn't safe to be most fully yourself. And then this would be taking it a level deeper still is the practice of tracking what you're feeling and where you feel it in your body as well. So a lot of shadows can live in the body. They have a mental quality, a cognitive quality, but actually the release of a shadow is felt mostly through the body, and it has a kind of neurobiological or psychobiological sort of state shift as well to kind of announce the fact that you've kind of moved through something, or at least you've done something differently. So emotional inquiry is a really fundamental part of this particular way of looking at things. So these are the 5 ways to track your shadow. There might be more, but these are the 5 that we've identified. So I'm curious, any of these 5 ways of tracking, is there one that someone is, for example, the hold on, let me just have a quick. Yeah, I'm wondering if there anything is coming up for anybody at all around these 5 ways of tracking. Like, put your hand up if you are actually doing quite a lot of tracking already. Like, if you're employing all 5 of these, put your hand up to start with. Maybe if you're doing 1 or 2, keep your hand up. Mm. So all five of these are absolutely critical to really getting to the bottom of what this shadow, what this adaptation is concealing. Very deep emotional material. So of all of them, this sense of like tracking emotions and feeling them in the body is a really fundamental tool. And at some point in this session, we're going to explore that in a little bit more detail. But this is the one really. Like all the others, it's good information. It's giving you a kind of sense of all of the different steps. But without the somatic and the emotional property, there isn't really going to be the chance to make that final step. And that's what it is. It's a series of steps.
Okay, thank you, Graham. So we've got these 5 ways that Graham's has shared of noticing when we're in some sort of reaction, which could be coming from a place of our shadow. And what I'm going to share now is I'm going to go into 4 hunting tools. And disclaimer that hunting is a metaphor, obviously. Really, what we're teaching about here is shadow work. So it's shadow tools. And we'll talk more about that later, but it's all those tools that can support us to see things inside that are invisible. Yeah, as Graham shared, it's not bad, it's not evil, it's just not seen for a variety of reasons. Why would we want to do that? What's the benefit of doing that? It's about, and as Graham said, this life force to really be alive, more alive. The content of our shadow contains life force. It's kind of like having a mobile phone, you're there and you've got like 10 apps running and then in the background and it's sucking the battery. And then you go and look and there's like some video that's 5 years old and you get rid of that. And it's like, okay, there's more energy. So that's kind of a technology kind of metaphor. But this shamanic sense, the hunting, it really helps, particularly because we're going to focus today on one part of our shadow. And that is patterns of behaviors, repetitive patterns that we all have. And I'm going to say, for the benefit of this metaphor, that these patterns of behavior, they're like wild animals, specifically buffaloes. So we're going to go buffalo hunting. And we're going to hunt together, not because we hate the buffaloes. On the contrary, we love it. We love our patterns. We love our shadows. But we want to recover that energy, that life force. So let me share an example of one of my buffaloes. And this one was a big one and still is. It still comes up a lot. So I grew up in a household where there was alcoholism, there was violence. I'd walk in the kitchen, then something would erupt. There'd be raised voices, there'd be shouting. I'd try to intervene and I'd get told to get out. After a while, when they started fighting, I would just feel myself shrink. I'd withdraw and I'd just slip out the door. And some of my earliest memories were being woken up by my mum, my stepdad in the room next door. Their bedroom was next to mine. I'd hear the shouting, I'd hear the violence. And that led me to the belief that conflict would lead to violence, and that wasn't okay. So I'd do anything to avoid conflict. Who here is our conflict avoiding kind of people as well? Yeah. And during this is my story, and it might not be relevant for you, but try and find the similarities and try and also track where it's coming for you. So this would show up in all walks of my life, at work, with friends, in intimate relationships. And it created a pattern in me where any raised voice, sign of violence, felt like a crisis. Even being in the vicinity of conflict was creating a reaction in me. So this buffalo, this pattern showed up as immediately wanting to run away or shut down, doing whatever I could to avoid feeling whenever someone raised their voice during an argument or what I perceived as a threat. And when this pattern first developed, maybe I was 5 or 6, it was actually helpful. There was a great wisdom in that. It was too much for little Robbie to handle. At age 30, the same pattern was sabotaging my relationships. I mean, 13 years ago, when I first became really aware of this buffalo, I was 30. I don't need to run away. Why am I doing this? Why am I still doing this? It's sapping my life force. So we're going to track this buffalo using the hunting tools. So the first tool is sweetness. Loving the buffalo. Sweetness, kindness. If we're keeping with this analogy of the hunting, it's the sacred approach. So hunters perform rituals before they went hunting. They approach with respect, not hatred. They understand the buffalo's vital role, this symbiotic relationship with nature to support their family, their tribe, to keep them warm, to feed them. And with the pattern work, it's acknowledging of my pattern's protective purpose. Remembering it once kept me safe. Approaching it with gratitude, not self-judgment. I know when I first came into this, I was like, okay, I'm shadow hunting. I'm going to nail it. I'm going to evolve. I'm going to, there's this kind of attitude, and that only goes so far. Sometimes it's useful, but a lot of times to actually, it's a young part. So, like a hunter honoring the buffalo spirit, thanking my escape patterns for protecting me when I was young and when I was scared and I needed it. I want to unpack this a little bit more because this idea of being sweet or kindness, but to who? To myself, yeah, sure, easy. But to that part that runs away, that sabotages my relationships, can I be kind and sweet to that part? That's more difficult. And being kind to it means also recognizing that whenever, whenever that pattern was born, it was born to keep me alive, to keep me safe. So with this key reframe, it puts me in a state of not fighting against myself, this part within me, but being on the same team with myself, with this shadow, embracing it. And that's really what we want to do to integrate. So the second tool is cunning. Bit of an archaic English word. Basically means you have to kind of be more clever than. So again, if we're going with this hunting analogy, we have, um, we're in the forest, we're reading broken branches, following footprints, the smell of buffalo pee, how old the poo is. 1 plus 1 means the buffalo's nearby. But how do we actually be cunning while pattern hunting? It means I start to observe the signals of my body, particularly of my body. Let's say I'm with a partner and I'm not escaping yet, but it's getting heated. And I'm noticing the thing continues to go on and that my heart's accelerating like crazy. No danger, literally, but my mouth is getting dry, my hands are getting sway, which is all natural reaction to danger. In a few minutes, I'm going to enact my pattern and escape. So the cunning is really tracking the body signals, is looking at the emotional signs, rising tension, situational triggers, raised voices. And just as the hunter learns to read the subtle signs in nature, learning to read your body's warning signs before this pattern takes over is cunning. And, you know, I've had some successful days in my shadow hunting career and some really unsuccessful ones for sure. But on a good day, you will see the pattern and you'll have a moment of like, oh, fuck, this has happened before. It's not the first time. That moment is when we need the third tool because the temptation could be, oh, I saw the pattern. I'm going to do something out of immediate response or reaction. But actually, the third tool asks us to do the opposite of that. The third tool is patience, taking a breath. Okay, this thing's happening. My partner's shouting. My heart's racing. This has happened before. I'm seeing the train wreck, but this time I'm seeing it with awareness. I need to take a breath. Why? Because the very thing of acting impulsively and doing what really feels like I want to do, that's how the patterns work. That's exactly the beauty of patterns. We've got so many patterns going on habitually in the background that make us work well in existence, but some of them drain us. Some of this are not desirable. So if we go back to the analogy of the hunter, this is the wait, the patience. We've tracked the buffalo. We know their path. We know they come down to the watering hole at sunset. We're staying still despite the discomfort. We're choosing the right moment. Like a hunter who doesn't chase the buffalo but waits at the watering hole, learning to pause when you notice your pattern emerging, feeling that somatic reactivity showing up again. This awareness created a crucial moment of choice. So the third one, patience. However, if we keep waiting and waiting and missing the opportunity to do something different, and the pattern is undisturbed, so to speak, like the buffalo after having a drink, the water just goes away. We can't wait forever. So the fourth tool, the last tool, is kind of the counterpart of patience. Again, a bit of an archaic English word, ruthlessness. Big word to basically say if you're going to kill the buffalo, kill it well, one shot. Don't be like dabbing around, shooting left, right, wounding the buffalo. It's going to piss it off. So a straight shot, it requires certain precision. And the first 10, 15, 20 times doing this, I will be completely failing. But it's still good. I'm training myself. You don't become a great shadow hunter overnight. So the fourth one, ruthlessness, precision, clean shot, no hesitation, once committed, in, following through. So instead of running my usual pattern of running out the door, I might do something radically different, like pausing, breathing, owning that I feel scared right now. I notice I want to run, being vulnerable, allowing this place to be heard, to be felt, can create connection. This is a clean shot, the decisive new action that breaks a pattern. You know, if I was there and instead of running out the door, I jumped out the window or something, it's not necessarily a clean shot. It's not like radically shifted. It's most probably like wounding the buffalo a little bit. However, asking for a pause, sharing my vulnerability, sharing that I'm scared in this moment. I feel like running. I don't want to abandon you or myself again. Maybe sharing that, I may get a different response. Maybe the person can't even hold me in that. But most likely, what I'll get, regardless of the outcome, is wow, I've done something different. I may feel terrified, I may feel invigorated by the whole experience, but the most important thing is it's different. We're breaking the patterns. You know, even following these tools, it's not a guarantee. There is no guarantee in hunting. But if there is a sacred contract between the predator and prey, so to speak, between me and myself, because the pattern, it's still me. If there can be a sacred contract, then you can even imagine that buffalo deeply wants to be taken because remembering it's in service. It's got my best intention at heart. That pattern wants my survival, it wants my well-being. I mean, at the end of the day, it's well-being as well. We're together in the same body. So rather than an act of violence, it's an act of sacred conclusion of a cycle. I think of the Japanese soldiers, the ones that got found 28 years after the Second World War was over. Farmers finding them in holes. Can you imagine? They just kept going because no one told them. And that's kind of what's going on for a lot of us with our shadows. These behaviors are still thinking that they're serving us, still think we're at war, still think we're in that crisis that we were in when we were young. So there's old buffaloes and new buffaloes. I want to kind of shift gears slightly. So the new buffaloes, they're, let me give you an example. I travel a lot with work. I'm flying lots of places, and by the end of last year, like from January to March, I was like, okay, I'm not flying anywhere. I'm not going. I'm not holding any containers. I'm not like week-long ones. I'm going early to bed and replenishing and rejuvenating my system. And I thought, okay, I'm resting. I'm a downtime. I'm going to get my old Netflix contract back. And I'm gonna have watch like an hour just before I go to bed to unwind. And then I got on some real crime series. I don't remember what it was, but it obviously wasn't that great. But they're addictive. And next thing I know, it's like, okay, I'll watch one, and I'll watch another one, and suddenly my bedtime goes from 10, and then it's another one to 11 to 12, 1 o'clock, and a few weeks goes by. I'm noticing I'm doing this. I'm like, I'm watching people getting killed and drugs and guns and money and everything in my psyche before I go to bed. And I'm going to bed late. I'm kind of getting up a bit late. I'm kind of beat myself up a bit. I'm in a bit of a repetitive cycle. Um, and this is a new Buffalo. So it was quite easy for me to shift. Okay, I'm going to watch some educational doco. I'm sleeping about 45 minutes from one of those on. It's not so riveting. It's not planned to get my brain addicted to watch the next one, Knox, and the next one. My dreamscape's better. I'm getting up earlier. I'm doing my morning practices. I promise I'll do myself. Stretching, yoga, meditating journal, whatever it is. This is easy, low hanging fruit. And this is where I invite you to stay. What are the habits in your life right now that simple, easy ones that maybe, aren't serving you? And just taking these easy buffaloes because it makes you feel good about yourself. Getting off the screens at night, reducing your scroll holes, getting into healthy habits, releasing unhealthy patterns that don't serve. I invite you to start there. But then you get the old buffaloes, the opposite end of the spectrum. These are the patterns, those buffaloes that are old. They've been with you for 30, 20 years. They're like, kind of those ones that are moving around. They've got like scars down them. They're wise. They know how to say out of sight. Maybe this is where the metaphor ends. um, for some reason, other people, at least people that are close to me, close to you, can see those buffaloes pretty well. They just hide from me, not from everyone else. Other people can see my shit better than I can see my own. And that's the beauty of having brotherhood, genuine brotherhood. Someone I can trust, I know well. For example, Graham. It's actually the case. We do buffalo hunting with each other all the time. I feel secure enough. I can ask him, will you please hold my hand as I go hunting for this very tough one that keeps on pulling my pants down? And no one can kill it for me. I can't get Graham to do the work for me. I need to change my own behavior, but they can help me spot it. And that's the difference between a good friend and an excellent friend. If I had a friend who was, I came around there, said, oh, I've argued with my partner again. She raised her voice. I had to leave. A good friend would say, sure, come stay with me. No worries at all. And a great friend might reflect to me, that's happened in your last two relationships, Robbie. You are the common denominator. Yeah, it might be like, oof, but fuck, they're really wanting me to evolve. So, group buffalo hunting. It's a sport for the evolution of our souls. It's a beautiful thing. And it's a way to really hunt with each other. So at Emergence, we cultivate trust and we go hunting together, supporting each other to hunt our own patterns, our own shadows. And with that, creating a field where there is more clarity. So just as the hunter isn't trying to destroy the buffalo, but rather honor it and use its energy for life. We're not trying to destroy our patterns. We're trying to reclaim the life force, as Graham mentioned at the very start, that's been trapped within them. And when we can successfully hunt a pattern, we free up that energy for more constructive uses. It's draining us like that battery on the phone. It's like, okay, let's like clear our field so we can be more present, more alive, more free, more creative. That stuff's not burdening us, not holding us back. And just the same as the tribe use every part of the buffalo, we can learn from the pattern, reclaim the life force. We can use the experience for growth. We can transform old survival mechanisms into new wisdom. There's so much wisdom where those buffaloes are. Some of the greatest leaders I know are close to their wounds because that's where their wisdom lies. They're wisdom wise. So the goal isn't to become pattern free. It's impossible. It's about recognizing when old patterns no longer serve us and consciously choosing new responses that will better fit who we are today. Mm. Mm. Yeah, taking a moment, noticing what comes up for you. Mm. Mm. We're going to open briefly for any questions. We're going to go into a breakout room soon with one other person. I know there's three of you on the screen. I don't know how we work that. Maybe you can do it just between the three of you. I don't know if Graham's already created breakout rooms or not. And I might have just messed his system up, but we'll magically work it out. Um, you can either write a question, put it on the side. If there's any clarifying questions or anything that wasn't clear, I'm very open to doing that. Or if there's any kind of eureka's or aha moments that people are arising in their body, I'd love to hear how it is in your body, how you're feeling, what's moving.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
me, raising that I really don't want to share anything today. Like it's hiding.
Hmm. So was that just I didn't quite hear it, or maybe I did. I just want to clarify. You saying you feel like you just want to hide today, yeah?
Yeah, the buffalo is hiding and it's like
Yeah,
feeling exposed, and it really don't wanna. Like, I don't know these people. I don't wanna share.
yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Well, thank you for sharing then.
Yeah, I also have my mind that keeps coming up with things like it was a long day, you didn't have dinner, you should go have dinner, and that's the thought that keep coming.
Buffalo, you got to eat.
For me, it's interesting to see like everyone's reactions to this space in a way, because this kind of work can be very triggering to our old buffaloes, and we can just want to run away, especially when like wounds are like exposed. But for me, the biggest thing that's been coming up is like gratitude and a sense of lightness to be able to talk about this kind of deep work and the stuff that we do spend so much of our lives like running away from. And yeah, just having this information and these reminders of our potential.
Mm. Beautiful. Thank you, brother. Yeah. I love it when this lands in a group and then suddenly like we're fucking real about our buffaloes. It's like suddenly it's not like, okay, not talking, like speaking the unspoken. It's like, okay, we're now bringing our buffaloes forward. So it's great to have that in a culture where it's like it's also a bit more lighthearted. It's like, oh fucking hell, here is one of my buffaloes, and it's staring me in the face. I mean, we kind of bring this into a sharing circle, and people are just owning it and coming forth. So yeah, and I actually had a powerful experience with a brother at the weekend who was in a very strong space, and he did exactly what I shared around being vulnerable, about wanting to run, and yeah, it was there's somatic reaction going on, and we were in a conscious sexuality space, and wow, I really tipped my hat to him and saw him in that moment to have the strength to speak rather than running. So yeah, it's great to be able to hold each other in that. Mm.
Would anyone benefit from just seeing the four tools quickly put up on the screen? Put your hand up if that's you. If you'd just like to have a look at them, or if you feel like you've already written them down and it's
And
clear.
everyone put their hands up because Graham spent ages doing this. Yeah, thank you. Well, Graham's buffalo of disappointment coming out. Um,
Adam.
so we will send this in the email. You're going to get us an email as well, but it's great. Or you can take a screenshot, of course.
Yeah, bear with me one minute.
Anyway, it's not how you dreamed it, G.
No, not at all. Okay. I've got so many things on my screen, you wouldn't believe it. Hold on. Okay.
But
Sorry about this. Okay, I'm getting there. Okay, so just to quickly take us back through what Robbie shared there. Four hunting tools, the sweetness, the cunning.
honoring really honoring the pattern, remembering it, remembering how it was there. It's deep, deep survival piece. So approaching it with gratitude instead of judgment. I know that was my kind of like trying to really be violent with it and actually like seeing the gift of well how it served me. And there, yeah, cunning, learning the spot subtle signs and often not so subtle. The heat rising, the sweaty palms, the heart beating, the tight throat. I used to get like bubble kind of sensations down my throat when like I was holding back my truth. Yeah, then obviously the bigger ones of wanting to literally run, to fight, freeze, the fawning, which can be a bit more subtle than maybe the other ones, but like that kind of like trying to make trying to appease the person, trying to get them on side, especially with authority. Patience, noticing it come up, taking a pause, not reacting, being with the discomfort. And then this ruthlessness, clean shot, decisive, radical, different action that fractures the pattern, that interrupts it, that shifts it. I mean, I work a lot in conscious sexuality realm as well, and this is a big one, especially around rejection. Wow, I definitely had a bit of a flight response, or I'd play it safe and learning to be with, and a lot of time it's just so much energy in my body, like whoa. So be able to breathe, to be able to feel it and not be taken by it, moving, going, running, leaning in. And then for me, it's exhilarating when I shift these patterns. So deeply empowering. Yeah. So we're going to have a chance to go into breakout rooms. So you're going to be paired up with someone and you're going to have 5 minutes. There's going to be a timer going down there. And you're going to have a chance to share, expose yourself to another person. Obviously, this is as deep as you want to go. I encourage you to go as deep as you feel you have the capacity to. You'll get more out of it, but obviously up to you. And you're going to have a chance to share a current situation. That might happen today, it might have happened yesterday, it might be something that you're really tracking that's causing you pain or whatever it is, causing you discomfort, sadness, grief. And you're then, after you've explained it briefly, succinct, we've only got 5 minutes, so you're going to share it briefly, and then you're going to use this sweetness, cunning, patience, ruthlessness to see how you can do something different. See how you can take radical action. See how you can be sweeter or patient. Noticing the somatics, like speaking about it, really vocalizing it. So you're catching it. So you're really doing the cunning. Is it clear? Any questions? Okay. And then Graham will write in the group, or he might use his voice. He likes doing the guard thing. It's great. You just hear it's Graham's voice beaming through into you'll be like, and then you'll get a chance to swap. And the other person will go. Yeah. And obviously these are tools you can take out there into the world, into your life, do with friends, do with your brotherhood, sisterhood, whoever you've got around you. We do this just with men. We work a lot with men. But obviously this tool does work with partners and stuff like that. And we're happy for you to share all this and to give it to whoever you like. It's not ours to keep. It's wisdom to be shared and to support as many people as possible. It's what we care about. Okay, brothers. So we will see you in about 10 minutes. So I'm seeing Lucas's group said they've got 3 laptops. Did they? Okay, welcome back. We're gonna do a little thumbs up, thumbs down. How was it? Yeah, yeah. Who like who found it challenging to bring themselves forth? Who found it invigorating? Who feel like yeah, okay, some quick hands. Okay, yeah, we do some powerful rituals at the initiation, and often when we're doing the things that like we're really in the trenches going through like shame and guilt and like exposing parts, afterwards we kind of do a like, okay, where's people's energies level? And often people's energies through the roof because these things are in our system anyway. They're baggage that's holding us back. So by releasing them, by owning them, by loving them, by integrating them, then it gives us this freedom, gives us this aliveness. This is what we're doing it for.
Mm.
So much creativity can come through. So we've got a little space here. If anyone feels courageous and wants to share, then there's space.
One thing that I wanted to share, not the specifics of what we talked about, but one thing that really stood out to me was both when you were saying it before, but also in the breakout room was, in my experience, the most difficult part of like doing shadow work is us getting in our own way. So once we notice a pattern, then there's a lot of what I call like the overly masculine ego that wants to either attack us for the pattern or
I'm going to pause you. I'm going to ask you to say I. Talk from your own experience. Thank you, bro.
thank you. Appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
Yeah, definitely for me that's been my biggest like obstacle is I will start attacking myself or
Mm.
getting into problem solving mode and I need to fix this right now.
Mm.
But the moment that I can like let go of that and come at it from a place of like unconditional love, then it just feels like the rest of the steps feel a lot more simpler and kind of fall into place. So yeah.
Yeah, great awareness. Yeah, these tools can be put in different orders, and I've seen them. They work, but there's something around that sweetness. Bringing in sweetness to start off with, it's like, oof. And yeah, I think generalizing on the masculine psyche, but there is that kind of part that wants to fix it and triumphant over it, champion it. So to bring in the sweetness, like we are dealing with a very young part.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I've seen Tyson unmute.
Yeah, yeah. I've kind of not struggling to think about what would come up for me, and in in the breakout room, I'm holding space like I'm listening and basically just listening to myself, and it just opened up so much for me to just then share after their 5 minutes. So I just wanted to say how grateful I am for this opportunity to be on this webinar and get out what needs moving. So yeah, very powerful.
Beautiful. Thank you,
Thank you.
Tyson. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Richard, got your hand up.
Yeah, I had a question around the ruthlessness part, and because the other part seemed kind of clear. I guess in my situation, I was talking about with relationships and kind of tendencies I have with avoidance and procrastination, avoidance of communication. So that ruthlessness part, I felt, yeah, I wasn't exactly clear, or that word, I guess, didn't like resonate in terms of what's the ruthlessness I need to take, because relationships always feel like quite a complex area. So do you think, is it just a case of this word of like courage and bolder with action? That felt like the main thing that was coming up there, but I was wondering if you could kind of clarify.
Beautiful. And everything, there's quite a few suggestions I can make. I'll trust what's kind of coming to me. I hearing there's an avoidance tendency. I mean, just going to ask the field, who here knows they've got an avoidant part within them when it comes to relating? Yeah. Who here feels like they're a bit more anxious in their attachment style? Cool. And obviously we can swing, and often, sadly, in a relationship, someone will hold the pole. And I know I'm more in the avoidant, but when I'm in that anxious, man, they're both painful in their own way. There's like a disconnection, or there's like this deep longing for it and not being met in it. So the suggestion I would make to you is, if you're aware of it, even communicating about it can be relieving for the partner. Even saying, "Oh, okay, I'm noticing it coming up. Oh, I'm noticing that I'm checking out. I'm noticing that I'm being avoidant. I'm being avoidant." You know, um, and yeah, then it's like steps to how to not be avoidant. Like noticing what's coming up. Like, there's this tender part that I don't want to share myself. I'm terrified. There's my young boy, maybe, that took a risk when they were young and didn't get met, or had a parent that pushed them away and they've never felt that. never felt seen. I don't know your story, but I know for me, that was a missing experience from a young age. There was neglect in my household. When I first heard neglect, I was like, no, I had a roof over my head, I had food on the table. But when I heard the words emotional neglect, I was like, every cell of my body was like, yes, that was my experience. My parents had their reasons and they had the same thing passed on. And, my stepdad was a Second World War baby. It's like 8 years old when the Blitzkrieg started coming in. I mean, I can't imagine how it would have been to have, I think it was like 10 months or something they did every night in London. It's like, yeah, her mum died when she was really young and she was a very tough woman like her mum. And so it's these patterns and the chance now is for us to break them. And a lot of them can be DNA, a lot of them can be ancestral lines. And then a lot of them can be young experiences, like this fracture that's young and the part separates off of our soul. And now we have a chance to lovingly invite it back in. Yeah, I can go. You're welcome to reach out to me as well, Richard. We could, I'm sure we could go back and forth on a few other suggestions and ideas and situations, but that's kind of a bit of an overarching one, so we can kind of tap into the collective field rather than going into specific. But yeah, thank you. It's a great one. It's a huge piece. Because I imagine it feels after a while unsatisfying to yourself, kind of, and also to the partner or your friends or whoever it is, your family. Yeah, and I imagine there's a longing for that connection as well. It'll give you a lot of life force when that's met. Thank you. Any other questions or revelations or yeah? Okay, we got a few.
For me, it really kind of settled the metaphor with the buffalo this time. So thank you for that. And where in this metaphor comes the lion and the lioness? Is that even here, or is that a different approach?
Run towards the roar. Yeah, that's a different story for another webinar. That one's really around, facing your fear and really running towards it. So there is another piece there's multiple pieces we could share here, and me and Graham were sat on and we're feeling like what wanted to come through in this one, but yeah, running towards the fear is a different approach for a different webinar. So yeah, it's a beautiful piece that we share at Emergence, but yeah, but thank you. This one's around sweetness, and there's different approaches. Not all things need to be dealt with the same way. Different aspects of different parts of us that need different approaches. It's not one kind of cookie cut. Okay, this is the answer. You do this, and life will be great. We need different approaches. We need the shadow can be very wily and cunning as well, and deeply ingrained. I've seen Frederic. I think that's how you say your name, Frederic.
Frederick, yeah, the thing about the ruthlessness, I think I struggle a bit. I mean, taking the pause, being patient, it all makes sense, but especially after having been triggered quite intensely, how do I really know that my action, like my ruthless action, is not from a place of reactivity to what just happened, and to really like I can sense like there can be a lot of things that are like defined as being ruthless, but actually are just a reaction to the trigger.
Beautiful. Thank you, Frederick. And this is where the cunning comes in, because you're aware of the situation. This is where the cunning's like, okay, we've tracked it. I know what I do. The buffalo's coming to the water hole at sunset, and then this thing happens. So how is it you'd like to react in that situation? Because chances are the first time you're going to miss this, because but then you're like, oh fuck, this has happened again. This is a pattern. This has happened before, and it doesn't serve me. So then the ruthlessness might actually be a bit preempted. Might be like, oh, okay, in this situation, I'm not going to do this because this is where that gets me there every time. I've learned that one. And what's action that can maybe support me to get to a place that's breaking this pattern? And the word ruthless does have like a bit of a negative connotation. But it's really, in this case, it's just meaning like really sharp on it, not taking prisoners, not like a wounding. It's like a really ruthless, direct, boom, sharp, precise, precision. Yeah, does that answer? Yeah. And again, if there's, you're welcome to message me if there's specific situation. I'm really happy out. This is something I really enjoy. So got a lot of juice for it. Okay. Yes, Tom.
Thank you, bro. It feels like one of my older buffalo that is current and roams around quite a bit is around showing up authentically and putting myself out there. And the thing I kind of notice thinking about it or talking about it is how it manifests in different ways. So it uses different techniques to keep me either distracted or preoccupied with something else rather than the thing that I'm most want to be doing or should be doing. Yeah, it's quite wily in that it chooses different mechanisms. So like eating bad food or not doing a morning routine or not going to bed on time and all sorts of different things. But yeah, it's quite wily.
Who can relate to that? Who finds himself getting distracted a lot? This is something that's really up for me. I'm actually pissing myself off right now, like how loose my own boundaries are about discipline. And like I'm really kind of changing my business and lots of stuff going on. I'm like, okay, this time is for this, not for fucking this or that, or this message comes in and suddenly I'm off. It's like, wow, I'm tracking myself. I'm like, I'm really like not, I'm really leaking a lot of my life force. And then I'm getting a bit stressed or pissed off because there's not enough hours in the day. And I'm like, actually, that's bullshit. Like, I mean, a lot of it's bullshit. And it's actually me creating that narrative by my distractions, by my lack of discipline, and by myself actually not having real structure. You know, I'm doing loads of things, great, but they're most probably not the three like needle movers that I really need to be doing in my business right now. So
Yeah,
yeah, I can
Tom,
relate to it.
I've got one who he's got this kind of quality of Graham, you've worked so hard, you've done so much. Like, I think it's time to take a break now. And then like 1 hour becomes 2 hours, becomes 2 days, becomes 2 weeks. And after that, I completely have lost the momentum and the traction and the aliveness that I gained by going into the thing that this part told me that, hey, maybe it's time to take a break now. So at some point, I just asked that voice, I said, like, what are you afraid of? And actually, I got the sense of being afraid of being powerful. That's why I talked about it a little bit at the beginning. There was a fear of being too much. So it's good to like ask perhaps the question, and when that voice of distraction comes up, either what do you need or what are you afraid of? I think it might change things.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm curious if
I have a question that is somehow related to this. So I see that often when I do perform tasks, I usually go in a mental state of like compulsive having to do this, otherwise it's like the end of my life somehow. And like I kind of want to be productive in a healthier way, and like I'm really striving to find how to do that because I'm like moving towards okay, like swinging between this extreme of like going into workaholic kind of productivity and like another extreme of like, oh, like now I feel anxiety, maybe I should stop and meditate, and then I actually not starting doing the things.
If you described it as a compulsion, and that might mean something different to you than it does to me, but I would describe a compulsion as a desire to do or to enact something to get away from a deep feeling or a deep emotion. So compulsive behaviors mask a deep emotion. So a good question to ask yourself is there a deep emotion that you're perhaps trying to get away from? And you don't need to answer it, Federico, but just what are you? Is there something that you might be running away from? Something you might be hiding from in your body, in your emotional field? I'd look there. I think when we looked at the 5 ways at the beginning to spot shadows, to track shadows, I would say compulsive behavior usually is masking a deep emotion.
Okay, thank you.
Tom, I think maybe we'll make this the last one.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, so I really like the framing of ruthlessness, because I think because connotations it has for me are being sort of recognizing the necessity to act, even if that act in itself immediately carries kind of pain or suffering. Um, and that kind of confrontation. And I think where I really struggle amongst the skills is in the cunning, and sometimes me actually helping the buffalo to hide and kind of looking the other way, because if I recognize that it's there, I'm then going to have to take the action, and once I recognize, then I will take the ruthless action. So I just look the other way. And I think, yeah, that's something I really want to focus on. And then I think, because once I get into that process of recognition, then that can help me to stop and take the patience and then act. But it's, yeah, I kind of often, yeah, part of the pattern that I'm in is that I only take the action once the buffalo actually like runs over my foot or like nearly gores me. And then, it's a situation of crisis where I'm like, right, okay, now I have to recognize this. So yeah, recognizing those subtle signs of kind of being on the way, it's a huge thing that I'm taking from this. So thank you.
I love that, Tom. Thank you for sharing. I resonate with that an awful lot. I found recently that one thing that helps me is if I'm kind of getting this sense of like, oh, another pattern, kind of steering the buffaloes a little bit away, is I try to remember some of the most powerful experiences that I've had where I did get to the bottom of something, and how that shifted or changed my life, and then that stops me from perhaps being a little bit sneaky with my shadows and just saying, oh, I'll deal with that another day. Because I just remember actually how momentous some of the patterns that I've been able to somewhat resolve, or even I would say with a few of them actually completely change, to change my response. So sometimes it's good to focus on that as well, some of the previous experiences.
I'm aware Graham said the last one, but I am curious about these 3 little buffaloes, Dominic's little herd. Oh, there's only 2 there right now, but I'm curious if any of you guys would like to share anything from your little 3-way hunting. You don't have to, but just opening it up to you. No?
You are on mute if you do want us to hear you.
Okay,
You
can
don't
I
have
share?
to. Yeah, but you're welcome
Okay.
to. Oh,
Sorry, I don't know how
Sav.
to put the hands up, and I try to do
Yeah, that's
that.
all
So
right,
I don't know
Sav.
how to do it
Just
electronically.
let's just have you got something, Dominic? Dominic's group? I called it in, so I'm just no, if you don't, Sav, you can go.
No, we have some.
We do. Okay, cool. 2 seconds, Sav. Thank you.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
sorry for small
No,
delay.
you're cool. That's okay.
So we had a sharing amongst the 3 of us, and we discovered or rediscovered again that we are all 3 Libras, and that we are kind of
Choice.
struggling with the same buffaloes, or we could relate to one another quite well, and that was like at least stunning for me, when it comes to like avoiding conflict. And we also had the topic of making the night to a day, like staying up very long, like as you mentioned before in your sharing, like if it either can be working or doom scrolling, like videos, doing some productivity or not productivity, but extending the time when you go to bed. And that's something that we all could more or less relate to as well. And it was quite interesting that no matter what one of us shared, like the other could relate to that. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. I have my Libra brother, Graham Gough. So he's got multiple Libras. I've got Libra in my Mars as well. So, and it's great. I love the way that you're now bringing like astrology into it because there's so many maps that we can overlay onto pattern, and shadow hunting and maps on maps. So it's great to add all these things and start to seeing the correspondence and the patterns within the patterns.
Yeah,
Tyson, go on.
I just want to say one thing. I'm a double Libra, so I can even see myself getting in my way and do nothing about it as well. But I would say if we took what Robbie and I are sharing here and applied it to esoteric astrology, then what you three guys need is you need a good old-fashioned dose of Aries energy. You three need to become Aries because actually when you move into the you take the earth out of the center and you put the sun in the center, it swaps around 180. So actually you three, your souls supposedly should be Aries souls. So deep down you three are like absolute fucking badasses, and that's what the next 10 years you guys need to start really getting into the ram. Okay, I'm done. Thank you, brothers.
Cool. Okay, Sav, let's have a quick one from Sav and then we'll move on. Thanks, bro.
Yeah, just a quick one now because well, I found it hard to hunt this buffalo, although I found some simple ones. So I don't understand if I'm bearing it or can't see clearly. As you said before, maybe other people can see my pattern. I did find one while I was sharing, and but was quite simple, was with other people, finding myself communicate, say something unnecessarily. Sometimes you talk to people about no meaning things, and they drag out my energy. So I'm aware of it, a step back, but I'd like to go more deep, old buffalo to find the one that really drug my life. And so I'd like Graham to share the 5 shadow again, please.
Yeah, so I'm going to send out the recording, and I'm more than happy to send out like a list, as it were, just to make it easier for you as well, bro. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, and Sav, I'm sure Graham and I could give you a few old buffaloes that we see. Very good like that. Sav's actually been through the initiation with us, so he's been with us for a week long, and we do have a process we do on day 6, I think it is, where we sharpen the arrows and we go hunting with each other, and it's a place of it's not to take another person down. And this is the first thing I want to be really clear. It's actually a place of love. So we call it dark arrows, a place of love from my heart to your heart. There's this thing that's getting in the way of you shining as a soul on this planet. And you might think you're getting away with it, or you might not even see it. And I'm here to support you. This is what we call dark love, real truth. So there are a lot of other men's containers will work with conflict, and it'll be like put on your boxing gloves and like aggression and like doing that kind of thing. And we're like, there's no need for that. I mean, that's great as well. And some people need that. But this is around delivering your truth, dark love. And it might be something getting in the way of them shining, or it might be something in the way of our relationship. There's this thing. And I'm sharing this as from my heart to your heart as an act of love, so we can collapse it and we can come closer into love. That's another webinar as well. Okay, so we are going to move on. So Graham, I'm just looking at the time. What I'm proposing is we'll do the integration process, and then maybe not do the somatic, and then we could go into the golden shadow. Finish with some gold.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's go. So we also want to give you a sense of something to take with you, something to integrate here. So we've devised 3 questions which we think will support you. So why you keep hiding as part of yourself, and what becomes possible when you stop. So one thing to really think of is, what is the benefit of this shadow? And here's just a few things that we've put down here, things that maybe this shadow actually gives you. And that's actually the beauty of shadow. If we take away a little bit of the charge of the word shadow, the connotations of the word shadow, sometimes when you become aware of these pieces, they could even be a resource. And then when you become consciously aware of it, you can decide whether that's something that you want to keep, or if that's something that you want to let go of and invite something else to come in. Okay, then what's the cost? We've already looked into this: exhaustion, resentment, disconnection. Disconnection perhaps being the biggest one. Connection, disconnection. Repeating patterns, energy drain. So what's the cost? Like, what's it actually costing you individually, uniquely, in your own being, your body, and also externally as well? Because if you're exhausted and in resentment, it's going to be really hard to get things done. That could be some of the cost. And this is perhaps the most important thing. What's your longing? And if you become really, really refined at your shadow hunting, and you start to see the patterns, how they play out, if you can take those steps back to the beginning before the pattern activated, I wouldn't be surprised if you came into contact, even if it was just for a split second, a fraction of a second, with a longing. Now, I know that sometimes when I have arguments with my wife, I'm like, how the hell did that happen? How did that happen? And then when I track my steps back, I realized that there was a moment where I felt an overwhelming sense of connection and to be connected. And then I had the fear or the sense that that was going to be lost. And then I start to pull away. So I start to disconnect. So tracking the longing. We've written some of them down here: aliveness, freedom, authenticity, power, connection, peace. Could even be trust. Could be a trust, a longing for trust, or a longing for a connection between love and sex. What's your longing? So these are 3 questions that when you're investigating a behavior, a pattern, take these 3 questions with you, because they could become really invaluable to helping you understand why that pattern is even there in the first place, and also what you ultimately want to do with it. So we've done a lot of exploration and investigation of one particular aspect of the shadow, and I'd love to leave on a little bit of a high, something to take with you, and yeah, something a little bit more uplifting to end the session. Now, I recommend that you have a piece of paper and a pen, but you don't have to. You can easily jot it on a phone or on a notepad, whether it's digital or not. Is that going to be difficult for anyone? Put your hand up. No? Okay, fantastic. So, who would like to play a little game? Yeah. Who would like to play a little game? Come on, let's see a little bit more enthusiasm. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, first things first, there must be people in your life at different stages of your life, perhaps people that you look up to, people that you admire. Could be members of your family, friends, could be mentors or teachers. could be celebrities, actors, and let's expand it a little bit just for your imagination. Could be characters, could be gods, could be deities from myths, characters from movies, whatever. I want you to choose three people that really inspire you, whether they're fictional, mythical, real. So just three people, just to spend, let's spend just a minute and a half thinking of three people. And you might want to write these three people down somewhere as well. And if you can't think of three people, two people. If you can't think of two people, one person. Okay, is everyone complete? All right. So now I want you just to list up to 9 qualities. So, for example, I love Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's like my favorite character of anything. Gandalf pushes him close, but like a quality that I would put is wise or kind. So it's kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi is kind. So if you write the property kind or Obi-Wan Kenobi is courageous, write courageous. Just write it in the middle of the page. So if you've got lined paper, notepad, just write it in the middle of the page. If you've got digital, just write the qualities down on the side. It's all good. Nine qualities, up to 9. I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes for that. Okay, so just writing down maybe the last quality if you haven't already completed. Okay, so just completing there. This is something that you'll be able to come back to at your leisure. And right before that quality, I am. Every single quality. I am courageous. I am kind, etc. And as you're writing it, just see what it feels like. Okay. So we're going to have a chance to go into breakout rooms. And what we're going to do in these breakout rooms is we're going to share with each other. And it's going to be really simple. It's a chance for you to share these qualities and these properties from the perspective of I am. And really to see what it feels like to share that. And also to see how much you can commit to saying it as well. So if it's, I am wise. I am sweet. I am kind. And to share it with your brother, your friend, this stranger that you've only just met, and to see again how much you can commit your voice, your heart, your body to sharing this, speaking reasonably slowly, taking your time with each one. We're going to give you about a minute and a half to share, and then we're going to swap around. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. So I need to breakout rooms. So we're going to be gone for about 3 and a bit minutes in total. Decide who goes first. You share your I am statements. I'll time it. I'll send a message in, and then you'll swap around. Hey, how was that? Thumbs up or thumbs that way for average? This is down. Didn't work. Okay, seeing some 2 thumbs up and fingers and smiles. It's great to see. Yeah, maybe just inviting 1 or 2 shares. I'm more conscious of the time, but if somebody's got something.
You mute yourself, Graham.
Actually, it wasn't me who muted him.
I muted him. Oh, that's my golden shadow coming through. No, I was trying to send you a little chat message. Do you want to reveal a bit more about the experience, Graham? I think I know I was in with Lucas, and it was a bit like, I don't know if I can really say some of these things. So that's why I muted you.
Yeah, sure. So it's really so this is actually a process that I was gifted in my psychedelic therapy training, and it's a way to draw upon resources. So the way that we would do it is we would take participants through this experience, this exercise, if we perceived that the field needed resources. So the golden shadow is very much a disowned resource. So the idea here is to really start to recognize that these qualities and these properties that that one covets in other people or really deeply admires in other people are resonant qualities. They resonate because they come from the soul. So they're specifically qualities or properties that actually exist within you. That's why they're so can be so difficult to really like take in. And if you wrote a quality down and you shared it and it was like, no problems, it's probably because you integrated that. You probably have that quality and that property on tap, and that's a piece of work that you might have done. But if you felt like a little tremble or a tremor, then it's like you're getting there. It's close. And if you just could not connect with it at all, then that's where perhaps you want to go once you've got the tremble and the tremor qualities sorted out. And what I'd really love for all of you to do, especially if you wrote on the piece of paper, is to put this list up somewhere. Like put it somewhere in your house that you'll see quite often. So you can kind of like see and track whether these qualities and these properties, whether there's anything that changes about your relationship to these, whether these are things that progressively over time that you may take more and more ownership of. And maybe one day you'll be walking down the street and it will just be a kind of moment of course, I'm this and I'm that, or this is part of me and this is who I am. So, yeah, I hope that it's been useful for you to see perhaps where you own your greatness, where you're maybe struggling a little bit with your greatness, and where your future greatness might exist.
Beautiful addition. Thank you, Graham. And I'm aware of the time, and I really want to be mindful of people's time. And if you need to leave, you can leave, of course. But would love to hear if anyone's feeling courageous to share, maybe just a few people, a couple of shares. If anyone wants to share something that they maybe really struggle to embody, or something that they're like, yes, celebrating it. Please, Mark Benson, let's hear from you, right?
Thank you, Robbie. Yeah, no, I loved the exercise. I love writing all the 9 things down. And when I was sharing them with my partner, I realized I said I wrote down graceful, and then when I said I am graceful, that stuck in my throat. It was the only one that I found. It was such a clear, visceral feeling that it didn't ring true. And then I was just, it just jumped out at me. And I'm now sitting there thinking, oh, I know why I can justify that this way or that way. But actually, what was so apparent was just everything else tripped off the tongue, and I had complete ownership for it. But when I said I am graceful, I don't know, I felt a bit embarrassed, a bit like I was being a bit of just a really strange experience.
A bit of
So
what, Mark? Speak it.
Wanker is what I was going to say.
Cool.
So yes, that is how I felt, a bit of a wanker.
And it's
I
kind
don't
of
know where that comes
your
from.
partner's called Grace as well.
She is called Gracie, yeah.
So you're really calling in Grace. I really see that.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of work with your wanker, or your perception of that energy anyway, that's labeled to the word grace. And yeah, I look forward to seeing more of your Gracie.
Yeah, thank you.
I can share a little bit.
Yes, please. Yes.
When Graham told us to put I am in front of these things, I literally heard myself go woof when I was writing down one or two of these things, like this surge of like, yes, like assuming, embodying, like being, and it reminded me, I think I did these intent, because for me it's like setting an intention and then you repeat it as a mantra, and I did this like 7 or 8 years ago, and it really brought me back to that practice. So thank you both.
Yeah, thank you, Mark, and I love your tropical background there. I didn't know Canada was that good at this time of year, but I love what Graham shared around putting it somewhere, and I love what you're adding here around affirmations. You know, maybe it's on the back of your fridge, you know, so I am graceful, you know, every time you go pull out your drink from the fridge, or somewhere and it's like a affirmation. And as Graham's shared, it's kind of like this incremental leaning towards until it feels embodied. And then I'm sure there'll be the next thing to move on to. But it's great to really have it in the field and have presence with it and like calling it in. And I'm sure if you're working with your fellow pack of buffalo hunters, then they might say to you, hey, wow, that was pretty graceful there, Mark. I like the way you did that, or whatever it is, whoever's working with what, you know. So we can actually say where we're seeing these aspects within each other. To this is like the watering, the kind of like supporting each other. You know, we've got obviously the buffalo where we're like trying to get this part, and then there's this part that's like, okay, well, that is you. Yeah, what you can see in others is also within you. So it's a beautiful approach to this. Okay, brothers. So I try to respect people's time as much as possible and boundaries. A few of us talked around that, around discipline and not leaking. So, but I'm just curious to see who gained value from today. Anyone? Yeah, we've got a few hands. Thank you. Great. Who wants more? Who would like some more? Yeah. So, well, those who are curious, we're going to stay on for 5 minutes more anyway, just to share to you a little around the latest journey that we've got coming up called the Seeds, which is an online journey. We can also talk about the initiation if people are interested, but for those that are interested, we'd love you to stay on for a little while. We'll be quick, just to give you a bit of information. And for the rest of you, thank you for coming. Yeah, we will send you an email with the recording and with the diagrams and all the stuff that we've created there that Graham's slaved away. Feel free to drop off the call at any time, and you're welcome to reach out to us if you have any further questions. Yeah, thank you very much for everyone. Been great to be here. Thank you for your involvement. Yeah. Yeah, and if anyone wants to stay on to listen about the Seeds, you're welcome to. I see Tom's got his hand up. We'll answer that shortly. Okay, I think we had a few people drop off, but a lot of people staying. So you're welcome. Thank you for staying on. Yeah, we assuming everyone here is got some interest, and we're happy to kind of give you a little bit of information and answer any questions. So we have a journey coming. Do you want to ask a question now, Tom? We're happy to give you space. You had your hand up there. Tom, do you know your hand's up? The electronic hand now? Okay, cool. Not relevant.
Yeah.
Cool. So it's all good.
Shake your hand.
So we have a journey coming up called the Seeds. It's a 3-month online journey, and we're really excited about it. It's kind of like a microdose of our in-person 7-day initiation. So the beautiful thing around this is you can do it in the sanctuary of your own home. And we've created PDFs, we created online videos, we're going to have interactive calls. So it's very rich. We've just coming to the completion of a 5-month facilitated training that we run, which is like our most advanced thing. And this is something that people have been calling out to us because they want to have a flavor of it. They want to get a little taster, which they can integrate into their daily as well. So I'm very excited for it. It starts in February, and we've still got some super early bird tickets left. Is there something you would like to share about it, Graham?
Yeah, I think one of the big differences of it is that obviously when we do the initiation, it's 7 days and it's very full and kind of mythical and epic. But this is more like a kind of a TV series. Like I'd like to think of it as The Wire or something like that. It's each series is somehow like this episode. So we've looked at the initiation and we thought, okay, what are the really important initiations and lessons, embodied lessons that men need today? And I think we've picked maybe 5 or 6 pillars that we're kind of putting our hat on and saying that if we share these with men, archetypal maps, stuff around shadow hunting, wildness and freedom, purpose, that they can actually take this into their day-to-day lives. This isn't in Spain or the UK for a week. This is like day by day, task by task, piece by piece. And then we're going to have these calls that are going to be 2 hours where we get together and we put a lot of this into action through ritual or delving more deeply into the topics. So there'll be videos, PDFs to kind of prepare the soil. We'll do the rituals, and then we'll basically keep moving and like seeing how we can apply this into our day-to-day lives. So it's not just a peak kind of week-long experience, that it continues to like slowly unfold as the 3 months go on. So 12 weeks in total. And I think that's a big difference. And that's why actually I think guys who've done the initiation could benefit from this tremendously as well.
Curious to hear what's coming up for people, if there's any questions or any curiosities. if there's any like more specific kind of wanting to know stuff, it's very welcome.
Yeah, what is the time commitment for this? Like how much material is there? Like how many calls are there?
Great question. Getting in the nitty-gritty. I love it. So we have, as Graham mentioned, it's 12 weeks. So every other week there's a group call, 2 hours. Before the group call, you're going to get videos which are going to delve into the topics that we're going to go into. When we first did the facilitator training, what we did is we kind of jumped on the Zoom call. We were cowboys. It was our first go, and we went through all the information online on the call, which was okay, but it was a bit exhausting. And people were like, we want it before. So what we've done now is we give you the video before, we drop into the topics, and we also get PDF. And then on the call, it's very interactive. It's engaging. We're going into the topics. People go out to breakout rooms. We're actually going into the physicality. So we work with archetypes. We work with shadow work. We work with purpose. We work with emotional intelligence. And on the calls are actually interactive. So we're going to have a 2 hour call, maybe half an hour of videos beforehand, PDF kind of summarizing the videos. So it's not a huge time commitment. Every other week, we'll have this call with all of us, and the week in between you'll be in a group with other men where we give you practices and you actually do it in a group as well. So it's maybe 2 hours every other week with about half an hour of videos. And then obviously how much you pour into it yourself, there's like, you can actually bring all these tools straight into your daily, and that's the beauty of it.
So just to summarize, it's like every other week it's like maybe 3 hours with the video, and then and then there is a group meeting.
Perfect. Very, yeah, there you go. Minimal, yeah. So it's like exactly that. Correct.
Yeah, but it's so actually, yeah, thank you, Federico. It's going to be between 90 minutes and 3 hours each week. So perhaps half an hour of content and an hour kind of group call that you do, and then when we do the whole group, 2 hours and possibly half an hour to an hour of content being released that week. And it's not all kind of task orientated, but there will be some tasks. We call it home play. So hopefully it'll be a bit more fun than homework, and we'll try to make it as interesting as possible.
I'd like to add something, Graham, and I think Robbie, you answered, but just to clarify my usual stuff, yeah. So when do we receive the video? You said a day before, a week before, so we can decide when we watch this video, so we don't have to wait the day of our meeting.
Great question. So we've actually got loads of pre-material as well. So it's like 12 weeks and 6 sessions, and we've actually done pre-stuff as well, which will most probably be given like 2 weeks before the actual call. So you've got like 2 weeks to work through it. I know some of us will be like, okay, 11th hour, we'll do it. But some people like to do it earlier and maybe even rewatch it. So yeah, you'll have like 2 weeks to watch a video before a session, usually, so plenty of time. It's not like day before or anything like that. It's like, okay, let it really marinate and season you. So then when you come on the call, you're like, okay, there's a deep inquiry. I want to keep spiraling and moving. So thank you.
I guess I'm curious about the day of the call. I saw that February 9th, I think is a Monday. Do you know, are they going to be Mondays? Because, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a Monday. Does it not work for you?
Sorry?
Does Monday not work for you?
Monday we have our men's circles, but it could, like, if it's every other week, like I have commitments, I have group therapy on Tuesday, so we'll have to see. I don't like.
Right now we've got it on Monday, and we can also ask the group. It's not like I don't have to be on a Monday. We just put that. But right now we've got Monday. It is our day. That's what we're saying. And obviously the pod, you can do whatever day that you want between your pod, and you'll also get to change pods. You work with other men, but there'll be. Right now we've got Monday. I know Graham has some other availability, so if that's, please don't let that be a factor not to join. But just let us know, and we can also put it to the group and like, okay, group, what day works for people. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you though. Yeah.
Do you have recordings if someone is not able to join for a specific day?
Great
100%.
questions. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We record all the sessions.
Yeah, well, like the same way we record this, we record everything and we make it available ideally within 24 hours, if not sooner. and we might have to do a little bit of editing here and there, but yeah, so they'll be available to you, and then they'll also all of the content will be available to you for like until probably for like 6 to 9 months as well afterwards too, and we might upgrade it as well as we're going along because it will be the first time that we're doing this, and I think we've also got quite a lot of content that we want to share, and there might be things that kind of emerge from the group as well where we feel like, okay, this is really exciting. We're going to create something around this. So we'd also love your feedback as it's ongoing too. Okay. So as Robbie shared, we still have some kind of early release tickets that are lower cost. So currently those tickets are 697 euros, I believe. So it's worth investigating. And also we were happy to come to some kind of arrangement if you wanted to come to initiation as well. But that's maybe another conversation for another time. Yeah, the seeds is, yeah, we're very excited about it.
Yeah, and it's very rich. We're very generous of what we're giving for this. I mean, the first ticket's at 697 and we're going 997 and 1297, and it's great value for money, especially at 696, 697. Yeah, and again, thank you for the question. You know, if you miss a call, I mean, you can miss all the calls, but obviously there's a value in being live. But if you miss anything, you still get the material anyway. Yeah. And if you are interested in maybe there's like if you need a payment plan or anything like that, that's also okay. Like if again, we don't want money to get in the way of people who want to have this experience. If it is an issue,
Robbie, everyone else, I'm say five because you know.
I can't hear you, Seth.
And
Your sound's breaking up.
It must be my internet, you know. So I'm gonna head off. I wanna say thank you. I'm glad you said the shadow work because I'm very curious about it. So I'm gonna be here and you know, if yes to that. Bye.
see you, Seth.
See you both. Take care. I don't know anything of what you just said.
Okay. So, yes, brothers, you're very, very welcome. We'd absolutely love you to join us. Feel free to reach out to us. If you want to have a discovery call, you can. If you want to just sign up, we'll put a link in the email. If there's any questions, we're very, very available to field them and to support you to come and join us. It's going to be rich. So, are there any other questions before we close this call? Thank you for staying to the end. We got a Libra crew here.
Yeah, one more question. So
Libra
the
crew.
main topic, yeah.
Go on.
So
Go on.
the main topic would be shadow work?
No. Okay, so we work through. I'll give you a bit of the arc of the journey. Off the top of my head, we're going to start with emotional intelligence. So I'm working with the inner child. We're then going to work with also transforming our stories. So the experiences we've had in life. We kind of touched on this a bit with the shadow work, but it's actually like where the wisdom lies, how to really how to turn our personal story into our leadership story. We're going to then work with masculine archetypes. So we have a map that we use, which is a little bit different. A lot of archetypal works, Robert Moore's king, lover, warrior, magician. We use a slightly different map, which if you get the last webinar, you would see it, about light, dark, masculine, feminine. It's a map that Bruce Lyon, one of our wisdom keepers, gave us. So we go into like masculine archetypes. And then we also really delve into the feminine archetypes. I think the soul work of being a man today is around wholeness, and a lot of men's work. That's why we don't call ourselves men's work. We're more soul initiation. It is to actually embrace all aspects of our being, to make us more whole, to allow more of our soul to shine forth. And Carl Jung talks a lot around the anima and animas, and the anima is the underdeveloped feminine traits within the masculine body. in the male body. So we work a lot with that. We then go into shadow work, yeah, and then we go into your unique gift, why you're here, what is your purpose of being here. We touched on fate and destiny, and we all have a genius, and this is like the Romans kind of original meaning of the word, this like inner spirit, this soul companion, this very gift that you're here to share. It's the calling, it's the piece that wants to come through you. So we work with soul purpose, how to become alive and bring your gifts into the world.
And we do bring in shadow work reasonably early, Federico, because it's a great kind of mechanism for starting to address or answer the questions that Robbie's posed there. So it is a fundamental part of what we do, and that's why we bring it in reasonably early. So it's not all shadow hunting, but for somebody, it kind of could be as well.
Cool. Okay. Any last questions before we close? Okay. Maybe we can unmute and release with some sound and then disappear into the World Wide Web. The ethos. Thank you, brothers. Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.